On this Friday, I'm Robin Lundberg, she's Madeline Burke, and Madeline, one would think, after 7 Super Bowl appearances, 5 wins, and yet another winning season complete with a bye in the first round of the playoffs, all would be well in the land of Brady, Belichick, and the Patriots, right?
I mean, you would think, but, it appears there are some cracks in the foundation. ESPN dropped a bomb on Friday morning, an article detailing the power struggle in New England titled, "For Kraft, Brady, and Belichick, Is This the Beginning of the End?" Now, in the article, it describes the power struggles within the organization. It says, the rift between Kraft, Brady, and Belichick is so severe that many Patriots feel this is the last year together for the trio. Now, Seth Wickersham writes, quote, "For 17 years, the Patriots have withstood everything the NFL and opponents could throw their way, knowing that if they were united, nobody could touch them. Now they're threatening to come undone the only way possible, from within." Now, if this is truly the end of an era here, and you had to pick one, who would you choose, Brady or Belichick?
I think the choice is easy here, and I think the choice is Bill Belichick. The reason I say that is we've seen it. Right? We've seen the Patriots without Tom Brady. They were able to win, I believe it was 10 games with Matt Castle, who we later found out was essentially a bum at that position. They were able to win with Garoppolo. They even got a win or two with Jacoby Brissett, who they wound up trading. So if they're able to do it, maybe not to the level that they could with Brady, of course, but at still a high level without Tom Brady, I think the obvious answer has to be the guy orchestrating everything, and that's Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick to the NFL is Greg Popovich to the NBA. He could take you and me and turn us into a Super Bowl team. And so I think, yes, if you want to continue winning, which I don't see why the franchise wouldn't, you go Belichick. But playing devil's advocate here for the fan base, the fans are so emotionally invested in Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the face of the success of this team. And I'd compare it to recently when the Giants benched Eli Manning and the emotional outrage the city of New York had. Eli Manning, he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Yes, he has holes in his game. And yes, he's getting into the back 9 of his career. But the fans are still very attached. So it depends on, are you trying to please the fan base and keep them happy, or are you trying to say, stick with us, we're going for long-term success?
Well, I think a smart organization approaches fans this way. They treat them with respect. They are your consumers. So you don't disrespect them. You're honest with them. You try and give them a good product. At the same time, you don't listen to them. You don't make your decisions based on the whims of a fan. And of course, this is, a hypothetical. We're not talking about a decision that actually had to be made. But if it was one that had to be made, I may have looked into trading Tom Brady in order to develop Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, sports is a tough business. We all get that. Everybody knows what Tom Brady means to the Patriots. Everybody knows what Tom Brady means to the NFL. At the same time, the Patriots have been able to do something no other team has, and the best chance at that continuing beyond this current window would probably be with Garoppolo at quarterback, especially now that we've seen him in San Francisco.
This is definitely an interesting article, a deep dive into the Patriots, and we'll have more on that later when Kalen Kaler joins us in studio. And now we turn to the NBA. The Golden State Warriors visited the Rockets Thursday night. Golden State without Kevin Durant and Houston without James Harden. Now, despite Chris Paul's elevated play without his counterpart, 28 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, Houston caught that L. A lot of speculation about Chris Paul and the Warriors monkey on his back after this one. And, Robin, we saw the frustrations from Chris Paul when he kind of bumped into the ref in the fourth quarter, got that technical. I mean, how important is it for Chris Paul to get over this hump and to beat the Warriors in a playoff series?
This is almost a trick question because it's extremely important, yet at the same time, it's an unfair standard, right? I mean, Chris Paul is one of the best players I've ever seen, period. He hasn't been on the greatest teams, and now he's running up, just like everyone else, against the greatest team. We've moved the goalposts because the Warriors, remember, when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, we all said there's no way anybody can beat them. The 73-win team, best team ever in the regular season, added Kevin Durant. And now we're measuring people by whether they can beat the Warriors. So it doesn't really seem fair, and I think the frustration, you can see it with Chris Paul. He's so competitive, but the Warriors, in a sense, have broken basketball, not only with their talent and how upfront it is. I mean, remember, their 4th best player maybe scored 37 points in a quarter one time, but also the way they play the game, the way Steph Curry in particular played the game. You can see a team like the Rockets score in bunches, still can get outshot because of the weaponry the Warriors have on the perimeter.
Well, and the last team to beat the Warriors in a postseason series that wasn't the NBA Finals was the Clippers in 2013-14. That Clippers team, of course, with Chris Paul leading the way. So it is possible this team, like you mentioned, though, this Warriors team is just a whole nother beast. To beat them in the playoffs is a different thing than to beat them on a Thursday night in the regular season without, two of the stars in that matchup healthy. But either way, I think this matchup, regardless, you got to take the over. It's a good matchup. It's fun to watch. It's great for basketball fans.
Yeah, and Chris Paul made the right decision. It looks like getting himself to Houston. We'll see if they're able to do it this year, if they're better than the other Western Conference contenders, or if they can add even more talent in the offseason. After the first 12 days of NBA All-Star fan voting, speaking of talent, there are some surprising results. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the overall leading vote getter and leads LeBron James by almost 7,500 votes. Kyrie Irving is third with Kevin Durant next, just ahead of teammate Steph Curry. What surprises you more in the All-Star voting? Giannis over LeBron or KD over Steph?
I would definitely say Giannis over LeBron. I mean, all-star voting, as much as it's about talent on the court, is also about popularity. And LeBron James has been one of the most dominant players in the game for years, if not the most dominant, depending on who you ask, and also one of the most popular players in the game. Giannis Antetokounmpo is coming into his own. I said before the season, he's an early favorite for like an MVP surprise. I love the way his game is elevating, but for him to be the highest vote getter and by that much over LeBron James is a very surprising thing for me to see, but also is a reflection of the fan base and where the game is trending to and what fans want to see. And the type of basketball that Giannis is playing is apparently what fans want to see.
Yeah, he's like Hansel from Zoolander. He's so damn hot right now. I mean, like the chic freak, I suppose. That's part of this voting, though. What's new and hot can get people excited and go, hey, yeah, this guy's been great. He's so exciting to watch at his size, his length, to be able to put the ball on the floor. LeBron, we've been there, we've done that. It's one of the reasons I say I think people have taken LeBron's greatness for granted a little bit. There's some of that fatigue. Yeah. I'm actually a little bit more surprised by Steph Curry being behind Kevin Durant. One, because of all the laughing at Durant during the offseason, but more because Curry felt like he was the most popular player in the NBA, with people sitting there to watch him at shoot-around, the kids emulating his game with the dribbles and the pull-up threes and all that. So it was surprising to me to see KD pass him, even if Curry did miss a little time.
I mean, Curry is a very popular player, but Kevin Durant, whether or not you appreciate his move to Golden State, he's a very likable guy. He loves his mother. He's finals MVP. He's coming into his own stardom a little bit more. I'm not necessarily super surprised by that one, but I can see definitely it's a closer edge. All right, well, the Celtics have announced that they're going to play an Isaiah Thomas tribute video the next time the Cavs come to town on February 11th, but there is one small problem with that. That's the Paul Pierce jersey retirement night. Here's what The Truth had to say about that.
Isaiah, it's like everybody's getting a tribute video now. It's like if you play for a team, you get traded.
Clipper Darrell might get one next.
You get a tribute video. Now, but like, listen, on February 11th, night I get my jersey retirement, I'm not sure I want to look up at the Jumbotron and see Isaiah highlights.
Bro,
after all the years I put in.
You don't need to share it with nobody.
I had a chance to watch Kobe's, and throughout the games, the timeouts, it was a lot of tribute videos for him, and I enjoyed to watch that throughout the game. Now, hopefully, the Boston Celtics will do that for me. I'm not sure if I want to see an Isaiah video that night.
So first of all, I do not think Clipper Darrell should be getting a tribute video, but there are a lot of tribute videos that are just being handed out. I think Paul Pierce does have a point with saying not on my jersey retirement night, but does IT deserve a tribute video at all?
I mean, yeah, tribute videos are sort of ubiquitous. I think Facebook gives me one like every month or so about some memory.
About how long you've been friends with someone, yeah.
Yeah, I think Pierce has a point, but I also believe Thomas deserves a tribute video. He just doesn't deserve to schedule it.
Right.
He was making his return to Boston for the first time. If they wanted to honor him, that's cool. I don't know if he has the gravitas within that organization to say, nah, I'm not going to accept the tribute video at this time. Let's schedule it for a later date. That's what makes this awkward, because by that point, everyone will have moved on. But if we were to rewind and play a clip of one of us talking about a year ago, I don't want to be a savage hypocrite here. I promise there were words said like, Isaiah Thomas finally found his home. He will be a Celtic forever. What a story. So to say that stuff then and then be against a tribute video now seems a little disingenuous.
And I do think a tribute video is a very nice way to kind of make amends. And you can see, we talked about this yesterday with the text message exchange and Danny Ainge having sent IT multiple text messages before he got a response. This is kind of the Celtics' way of saying, like, we're sorry, you did mean a lot to us. But he was with the organization for 2.5 years, didn't get a championship. And I think that, yes, while it is nice to honor his presence, it's nice to honor the part that he played in building up the Celtics in this era, you can't say, oh, yeah, I need it on this game when Paul Pierce is already scheduled to have his jersey retired. That's an upstairs snafu of saying, whoops, why did we double book this night?
As they say, there's levels to this. And
yeah.
Paul Pierce, is higher level than Isaiah Thomas.
Little bit, yeah. He put a ring on it, so
Pierce
I think
might
it counts.
Be the third greatest Celtic of all time. Russell, Bird, and Paul Pierce?
I mean, it's up there. It's up there.
We've talked a lot about the Patriots and Boston, and we'll get some more details on the Patriots in just a second with Kalen Kaler of the MMQB, who also wrote a feature on the Bills. Of course, Buffalo made the playoffs for the first time since 1999 and take on the Jaguars this weekend. But much like the Patriots famously once were, the Bills are on to Cincinnati first, as the team is sending 1,440 wings to the Bengals, who at this point, they seem to credit more for their playoff appearance than themselves. We're here with Kalen Kaler of the MMQB. And Kalen, we've talked a little bit about this rift with the Patriots, Belichick and Brady specifically. How well was this known about in NFL circles?
Yeah, so the specific detail about Alex Guerrero, Brady's trainer, coming head-to-head with Belichick and their conflict was pretty well known. That rumor has been circulating for the past few months. And if you just look at that TB12 method, it's so culty that you can see exactly where there would be conflict there. When you have younger guys in the facility who, should they train with Brady? Should they train with the Patriots trainers? And they don't know what to do, but they know that they want Brady to throw them the ball. So maybe they're going to go Brady's way. But his TB12 method is so contrary to what an NFL team's philosophy in terms of training methods are, that you could definitely see the conflict there. And as far as the conflict with Kraft, Brady, and Belichick as a whole, that Garoppolo trade was just so shocking to most people in the media that it's not like we knew something was up, but you had a hard time believing that everybody in that organization was on the same page with that decision.
Now, you mentioned some of the younger players, too. The article points out how, players around the team are calling Brady sir, which is a little bit, of an interesting dynamic. And people throughout the Patriots organization are saying, this could be the end of Belichick and Brady. Do you think this is the end of those two?
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising if you think Belichick is 65. He's been there since 2000. That is a long time, and that is a long time to be a head coach. So I think it could be the beginning of the end. Do I think it's next year? Not really. I think he might have a couple more years in him. But who knows? If they make it to the Super Bowl and they win, he might decide to go out on that note. But I don't think it's crazy to think that this is the end of an era here.
From a team that's used to the playoffs to one that isn't so much, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Before the playoffs, the big story with the Bills was the benching of Tyrod Taylor and the criticism that ensued. But in your piece for SI, you wrote how Sean McDermott has had players share personal stories. Clearly, to me, it's a way to sort of build the confidence of the team. Do you believe the Bills actually believe they can make a playoff run?
I believe that they believe that they will win.
It's like the USA soccer motto. You just got to believe.
Exactly. McDermott has done a really crazy and incredible job with leading that team. And you can just look back. Albert Breer wrote this a couple days ago in his column about how McDermott recovered from that Nathan Peterman debacle in Week 11 when he threw 5 interceptions in a little over 2 quarters. And he just owned it up to the team. He was honest with them, said, you know what, maybe that wasn't the right decision, but let's move on together. And he was super honest, and that's kind of the way that he's led this team. And with sharing the life stories and team meetings, he's really created a really strong bond between everybody. Like when I was there, Tyrod Taylor is telling me he's crying when other guys are talking and sharing their stories. So if you get guys to cry in front of each other, you've got a really tight bond. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win a playoff game, but they'll believe they're going to win.
And they'll play more for each other as
Right.
well. And of course, the Bills, of course, facing Jacksonville on Sunday, and Titans defensive tackle Jarrell Casey chimed in and talked about Blake Bortles, saying, quote, you know what, as long as Bortles is back there, if the ball game is in his hands, he's going to choke. Now, he later walked it back, tweeting that he was just hyping the Tennessee defense. But do you trust Blake Bortles to win a playoff game?
I don't really trust Blake himself as the quarterback, but I trust the Jaguars defense, and I trust Leonard Fournette to put together a strong chance to win a playoff game, and particularly this matchup on Saturday, I think, or Sunday that they're playing the Bills. The key to that game, I think, is LaShawn McCoy. If he's healthy for the Bills, they, I think, have the upper hand there because they'll be able to run the ball, control the clock, and have Tyrod Taylor play that conservative style of quarterbacking that has got them this far. Now, if they don't have LaShawn McCoy, they're going to have to rely on a 28th ranked passing attack against the Jaguars defense, which is first in the NFL as a pass defense. So I think that's what it comes down to, and we'll see. But not a lot of trust in Blake himself as a playoff quarterback.
In the other AFC matchup, the Chiefs seem to have the huge edge on paper over the Titans. Is there anything Tennessee can do to win this game?
Yeah, so I think what they should do is look back at the Chiefs' midseason offensive lull. And what did those defenses do against the Chiefs to kind of take away that big play, eliminate those big plays? And what they did was they played zone coverage, they played back and kept everything in front of them. And that way, if you do that and you guard a certain area of the field, you're forcing Andy Reid to come to you instead of the other way around. So I think that is probably their best chance. But the Chiefs have a terrible record in the playoffs, and especially at home. They haven't won a home playoff game, I think, since 1994. So historically, maybe the Titans have a chance there.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance.
You got to throw that in there.
Hey, the Bills are in the playoffs after all.
Right.
Anything can happen, really. Anything can happen.
Kaylin, appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're here with our college football analyst, Pete Mundo, to go over the national championship game because it's approaching quickly, much to Nick Saban's chagrin, perhaps. Say that 3 times fast. Nick Saban's chagrin. Anyway, the Georgia defense, very hyped going into the game against Oklahoma. They struggled a bit, obviously, in that, but they were great all season. How do they stack up against the Alabama offense?
Much better. Now, everybody stacks up better against an Alabama offense compared to, say, an Oklahoma offense, but especially Georgia. This is what they want. They are built to play against the SEC, just like Oklahoma was built more on defense to play against the spread of the Big 12. But this in particular is the exact matchup that Kirby Smart wants on defense. We've seen Kirby Smart defenses struggle against the likes of Oklahoma when he was playing or coaching under Nick Saban. That's not the case. This is two guys and two sides that know each other very well. They're essentially mirror images of each other. So this Georgia defense by far has an advantage compared to this Alabama offense.
Well, flipping it around a little bit, Alabama has seemingly always been defined by its defense. So how does the Tides D match up with Georgia's offense?
Well, same thing. This is exactly the matchup that Alabama wants in terms of the kind of offense they want to play. Now, the one thing that might concern you a little bit about Alabama's defense is they're allowing the most yards after contact that they have in the past 3 seasons, which is something to keep an eye on in this game because we know Georgia with Sonny Michel, Nick Chubb, they're going to pound away, and Chubb averaging over 2.5 yards per carry after contact, and incredible numbers. So those guys in particular are going to try to run the ball, but you've got to give the edge to the Alabama defense that I know there's no Jonathan Allen in the pass rush like they had last season, but it's still, that's Nick Saban's bread and butter. He's going up against a true freshman quarterback. He is going to confuse him, and he is absolutely going to have the edge in this game.
And he's also going up against a familiar face. Nick Saban is 11-0 against his former assistants. Kirby Smart, of course, was on Saban's staff from 2007 to 2015. So does that stat matter?
Yes, 11-0, and not only that, the margin of victory is 39-10 for Saban against former assistants.
Fluke, then.
That is an incredible number and an incredible differential in points in these games. It's just stunning to me. You're just not going to beat the Godfather at his own game. I mean, Kirby Smart has basically implemented Alabama at Georgia. And yes, he's done it with incredible athletes, a ton of 4-star guys. And actually, Georgia has one more 5-star recruit in this game than does Alabama. But you're not going to beat Nick Saban at his own game. And that's what these guys like Jim McElwain down to Will Muschamp and Jimbo Fisher, Mark D'Antonio, they've all tried to do, and none of them have had any success doing it.
Wow, the student cannot beat the master. Luke Skywalker can't beat Obi-Wan Kenobi, or I guess in this, it'd be more like Darth Vader can't beat the Emperor. Anyway, when you're talking about this game and the hype leading into it, last year you had Deshaun Watson. If Baker Mayfield had made it, you'd have him this year. Is this game itself missing some star power?
Absolutely. I mean, the quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, yes, people know him, but he's not a Heisman winner. He's a guy that's just done enough to get him to victory. The other side, you have Jake Fromm, who could be a budding star, but not a lot of people across the nation know Jake Fromm. He's not a household name. He also has not been asked to win these games. The premier matchup in this would have been Baker Mayfield against Nick Saban and Alabama's defense. That was the matchup I think probably ESPN wanted. They're not getting it. So the star power isn't there. I mean, Roquan Smith, the Georgia linebackers, going to have a great NFL career, but linebackers don't make you tune in to watch games. Quarterbacks do. So I think this is going to be a poorly rated game on top of the fact that you have two SEC teams all of a few hundred miles apart. You look back to the LSU-Alabama SEC title game. That was the third lowest rated BCS title game ever, and it kind of started the whole trend of this playoff that we have now. So I think this game it may not immediately happen, but on a macro level may help lead to an expanded playoff if it is that low of a rated game when you combine the fact that you've got two SEC teams and not a lot of star power.
I mean, Nick Saban seems to be the biggest star, and he's out here complaining about the amount of time between games, saying like, hey, look at this, and don't pay attention to that. So.
And ironically, he had a lot further less to travel than Georgia, which was coming back from California. So I didn't understand that complaint, but that's what Saban does.
Thanks, Pete. I'm sure we'll be talking to you next week.
Anytime.
It's a big weekend in another sport as well. The Professional Bull Riding Championship kicks off its 25th anniversary tour at Madison Square Garden this weekend. And SI's Joe Fauria got a chance to put his bull riding skills to the test. Watch this.
Wait, oh, stay. Keep it still right there. Wait, keep it still, please. Can you please keep it still? Guys, Joseph Fauria here at the Opry City Stage Music Hall in beautiful Times Square. I'm here with Jess Lockwood, the LeBron James of PBR. So today, I'm gonna be riding this mechanical bull behind us. I'm gonna give it my best effort.
I think you're gonna kill it.
I'll be okay, right? Well, man, thank you, appreciate that. This is Big Joe for Sports Illustrated. Let's see how I ride this damn bull. All right, so just a little dry run before I actually dust the competition. Sorry. I need new pants. Okay.
Off on your feet,
there's
too.
no way I'm losing. Yeah, on my feet.
Yeah.
So, Jess, I need some pointers. Be specific, because I want the details of how to actually overcome this mechanical beast.
When you hop up on there, you want to stay as close to your hand up like in your crotch and groin area.
Yeah.
And you want to squeeze with your legs and arm up in the air, and you stick your chest out. Stay loose and just move with him. You don't want to be tight.
Don't fight it.
Yeah.
Just
you just
go
want
with
to.
it.
Yeah. You just want to flow with him.
It's almost like
it's
a dance.
Yeah.
Representing SI now, Joe Fauria. Now, if I remember right, he played for the Lions, right?
Right.
Okay, so this will be fine. If he loses, he's used to it. No big deal at all. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, savage.
I'm so scared.
Pretty serious speed is coming. Hang on. Oh, look at the move.
Ah!
Hey, how about Joe? Nice job.
Oh man, we came, we saw, and we almost conquered. I lost by 1 second. I was so close. It was a great way to kick off the 25th year of the Professional Bull Riding Championship. This weekend, Madison Square Garden. Hope to see you there. This is Big Joe Fauria with Sports Illustrated.
It's time for SI Now's Weekend Drive, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. This weekend kicks off the NFL playoffs, and we're previewing 3 of the top matchups. First, we'll head to Jacksonville, where the Bills play in their first playoff game since 1999, which is coincidentally the last time Jacksonville hosted a playoff game. Running back LaShawn McCoy has been hampered by an ankle injury this week, but he understands the importance of this one.
I just want to be close, or the best as far as 100% as I can get. I mean, but the type of game like this, man, you got to lay it on the line, you know. So if I can't get 100%, as long as I'm out there and I can run effective enough, you know, I'll do it.
Jacksonville better not take this game lightly. The Bills have won 3 of their last 4 games, while the Jags are riding a 2-game losing streak. Next, we head to LA to see the Rams host the Falcons. As the Rams get ready to host their first game in 24 years in Los Angeles, head coach Sean McVay has exceeded expectations, taking over in his first head coaching gig at age 31, and he's ready to seize the moment.
To be in games like this is a great opportunity where you're the only game on a Saturday night in the Coliseum, and it's certainly something that we embrace when we talk about seizing the moment, but we know it's going to be a great challenge against the defending NFC champs. But I think the season has kind of provided a great opportunity for the city to continue to demonstrate and show their support for us.
The Rams come into the game with the league's #1 offense, but have struggled at home this year with a 4-4 record. Lastly, we go to New Orleans for a bitter rivalry matchup between the Saints and Panthers. New Orleans has won both of their games in the regular season against Carolina, but Cam Newton, he's focused on winning this playoff game.
What can't happen is the false kind of bravado or the indications of a playoff game. It's still football, you know. I haven't played a game yet that I didn't want to win, and this game isn't any different.
The Panthers' defense will need to continue its red zone success. In their last 3 games, Carolina has only allowed 3 touchdowns on 13 red zone trips. And that's what's in store for this weekend.